Okay, welcome everyone on Zoom as well. Lucita, were you able to put names in there? Or are there just a couple of people? I can't tell how many people we have on.
We've got, hold on 1 second, I'll show you. Fordham, Brian and Nancy, Ruth, and Fátima.
Okay, so maybe if we can put them in that order.
Okay.
Okay, so you'll notice that the room is set up differently than we typically have in the rows in the back. And one of those reasons is for us to be able to have like open space with no boundaries in between. So when we're sharing individually, it's also sharing and developing a collective thought, almost like, putting the energy into the center of the room. And so also, in order to have it be simpler, we'll start with one person. Maybe we can have you start, Sada, and then everybody have an opportunity to share when that time comes. If you don't feel like sharing at that time, you're not ready to, share your perspective, then just simply pass, and we'll move on to Zoom. And so on Zoom, you'll notice that we have a list of names, once again to simplify things, and we'll continue the circle. So imagining that you're part of this circle also, Zoom folks. And then you'll share according to the names that are in the chat box. Okay, so if somebody would be willing to, we'll have a couple of people read the scripture today, or the text today, and it's on the back side for those of you that are in the room, and then it's also in the text, it's in the chat box for those of you that are on Zoom. So who would like to do the first reading for us?
I can read.
Okay, great.
The whole, okay. Should I read the entire thing, or?
The reading, just the reading part, maybe we extract.
Okay. May we extract the meaningful essence of this life support without being distracted by the senseless affairs of this life. Since this foundation, hard to gain and easy to disintegrate, presents an opportunity of choice between profit and loss, comfort and misery. May we realize that there is no time to waste, death being definite, but the time of death indefinite. What has gathered will be separate. What has been accumulated will be consumed without residue. At the end of a rising comes descent. The finality of birth is death. Wishes for release from the perilous straits of the intermediate state, hero releasing from fright, by the first Panchen Lama Lusang Choki Gaoston.
Thank you. Okay, more.
Same thing.
Yeah.
May we extract the meaningful essence of this life support without being distracted by the senseless affairs of this life. Since this foundation, hard to gain and easy to disintegrate, presents an opportunity of choice between profit and loss, comfort and misery. May we realize that there is no time to waste, death being definite, but the time of death indefinite. What has gathered will be separate. What has been accumulated will be consumed without residue. At the end of a rising comes descent. The finality of birth is death. Wishes for release from the perilous straits of the intermediate state, hero releasing from fright, by the first Panchen Lama Losang Choki Gyaltsen.
So this first round, when you reflect upon this reading, speak out the word or phrase that touches you. Speak only the words of the text and let them find a home in your memory. Sada, would you like to begin?
No.
Anything that, any words, a word or a phrase that touches you? Okay, you can pass if you want.
I can see it all.
It's okay. Is it too fast?
Hand to listen.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Sada.
Meaningful essence and rising and descent.
Opportunity of choice and consumed without residue.
No time to waste and consumed without residue.
No time to waste without being distracted by the senseless affairs of this life, and what has been accumulated will be consumed without residue.
I'm sorry, I'm not able.
Okay. Sister, were you able to read the text?
Sorry, I have a phone call.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, so how about on Zoom? Whoever's first, if you'd like to unmute, please, and share a word or phrase that touches you from the text. Lucy,
Brian here.
first person.
Easy to disintegrate.
Thanks, Brian. And who's next on the list in the chat box?
I gave them the order. It's Fátima, Brian, Nancy, Ruth, Fordham.
Time of death being indefinite. Did you hear me?
Yes, was that Nancy?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy.
The
Who's next on
finality
the-
of birth is death.
Thanks, Ruth. Is that somebody texting?
No, I'm retyping the reading because some people said it wasn't all there, so I'm putting it in again.
Okay. So is that everyone?
Sorry,
In
I
Zoom?
wasn't here. I couldn't say my phrase, but I have it now.
Okay.
Extract the meaningful essence of this life support.
Thank you, Fátima. Anyone else? So if you can refer to the chat box, you will see the order of the people that will be presenting. So I think Fátima was first, wasn't she? I don't know who's next. I just want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to share.
Fátima, Brian, Nancy, Ruth, Fordham.
Okay, Fordham, did you want to share?
No, it's just good to be here. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's take a moment in silence before we go on to the next phase. So mindfulness of body and senses. Remain absorbed in the words and turn towards resonances in the body. What emotions are evoked? What images? What is the experience in the body? Speak only those felt responses related specifically to the text. So if you reflect on the words or phrases that touched you initially, what was your response as far as your body or senses?
Heart and gut, and I don't know how to I don't know how to describe it.
So which part of the text touches your heart and your gut?
Okay.
Whichever part that you initially,
Yeah, reread
yeah,
that? Okay.
no, not reread the whole thing, just initially, yeah, what you were thinking, yeah.
Okay. The meaningful essence of this life just touched my heart. It's like I could feel there that is the meaningful essence. And the other one was the rising and the descent, and I could feel that in my gut about life and death, birth and death.
Thank you.
Pass.
No time to waste. It brought up a sense of urgency within the body, like a quickening within the body. And consume without residue. I don't know that I have the language for it. There's something there, but I don't know if the language is there.
Okay.
So I'll pass.
Thank you.
No time to waste, and my word was quickening with that. So it makes me smile that we both experience that. And then at the end of arising comes descent. The finality of birth is death, and has a sense of being on a roller coaster, and as you slowly come up, and then boom, down you go.
Thank you so much.
I had what originally hit me was without being distracted by the senseless affairs of this life, and also what has been accumulated will be consumed without residue. It was almost like a whole body sense. Is the one that's clear knowing, like clear satience? Is that clear knowing? It's almost like a recognizing or recognizing. So, and here that it rings true, and there's a sense of calm and kind of overwhelming peace, kind of all over.
Thank you. And who do we have on Zoom to share?
Without being distracted by the senseless affair of this life.
What do you experience in your body, Fátima, when you read that? If anything.
It's a sense of release.
Thank you.
I pass.
Thanks, Brian.
With the time of death being indefinite, all my senses went to my breath and just resting in this feeling of life with the breath.
Thanks, Nancy.
The finality of birth is death made me sort of go,
Thanks, Ruth.
How do you spell that, Ruth?
Do I have anyone else? I don't have that list in front of me, otherwise I'd be saying, who's next?
There was nobody else.
Nobody else?
Fordham,
Yeah,
and
Fordham
he
said
was
he's not going to be sharing. Okay, okay. Let's take a moment then to come back to ourselves in silence for a moment. Meaning. What is the meaning we give to the words? Explore the meaning of the words and phrases. Inquire, analyze. Notice how threads of meaning are woven together from all of our input. Are there ambiguities, metaphors, contexts? How clearly can these words be understood? Whenever you're ready to begin.
For the essence of this life, I just think the point, that for me that means what's the point of this life? I don't know how else
Can you
to...
speak up just a little bit more?
I'm not certain how else to word the essence of this life. It's the point of this life, the core of this life. I don't know, like, just to reword it. I'm not sure how to expound what it means to me, except for the essence of this life. And birth and death, rising, descent. I don't know how to expound on the meaning, really.
Okay.
Birth, death. Okay. Sorry.
No apologies.
That's all I got.
That's good. What you got is good. And what you don't got is good too.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it's all that we don't got. And sometimes it's better to not. Thank you.
Thanks.
What's coming up is no time to waste. But this is no joke. That this is no joke. That death could come at any moment. That quickening that I was talking about is the part of me that realizes that if I do want to wake up, I have to do it right now. And then consumed without residue. I'm like, nothing? No residue? That's really what surfaces. It's like I'm getting the image of like this vacuum type hole and everything going. That's the image that I'm getting. And I'm like, nothing's left. All right. That's all. I pass.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Since this foundation, hard to gain and easy to disintegrate, presents an opportunity of choice between profit and loss, comfort and misery. And I'm just kind of twirling around with that as each moment passes and what presents itself. So I'm needing to sit on that a little bit with the meaning of that. And The other one is without being distracted by the senseless affairs of this life. And how difficult that can be sometimes, because there's the occasion that it feels like this is really important, and in the scheme of things, there really isn't anything that important.
Thanks, Soma.
What has been accumulated will be consumed without residue. For me, it's just a reminder of karma, cause and effect, and causes and conditions arising, but also knowing that and then without residue, the impermanence of all that. So it's a reminder of that for me, and then without being distracted by the senseless affairs of this life, again, another reminder that most things are impermanent, so our attaching to them usually isn't worth it in the end. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, over to the Zoom circle.
This phrase extract the meaningful sense of this life, support without being distracted by the senseless affair of this life, to me means to really concentrate on what it's important and cultivate that, and just pay attention to what makes sense, what is genuine, real. It's something like that.
Thanks, Fátima.
Without being distracted by the seamless affairs of this life could, that sort of gives a nod to nihilism. But then it comes back and says, but, there's the middle way where there is a foundation, which is hard to gain. And the purpose, the journey is to stay away from the nihilistic view and understand there is some foundation, which is going to be really hard to get. But if I don't work at it, it's going to go away. It'll disintegrate. I have to move away from nihilism and understand, working hard, there is a foundation where there's a meaningful essence of this life that I should pursue and try to find.
Thanks, Brian.
Hi. During most of this, I just keep coming back to impermanence and almost every session, and just how there's no time to wait, to just be present in each moment. It's that thing, you're never going to step in the same river twice, and be there, be authentic, and be your best energy. This is
the first two lines. Let me bring them back up on my screen. The first two lines contrast the life support and the life and this life. And I'm not so sure that I understand what life support means in this context. I appreciate everybody else's comments, but I'm not sure I really get it.
Thanks, Ruth. Moment of silence.
Hi, Nancy. I have a question about Ruth, about this life support. Was there something in the passage prior to what we've been given that explains this?
No.
This was the beginning of the whole passage.
Yeah, the beginning of the passage was remain absorbed in the word. Oh, sorry. Wrong words. May we extract the meaningful essence of this life support was the beginning of it, Nancy.
Okay.
Thanks for the question. So essence, discern what is true in this text for ourselves and for the whole, universal, timeless, beyond the personal. Sense how the essence of this text comes to life now in you personally and collectively. Speak that essence, move patiently between the printed words, inner words, and silences.
It doesn't say youth is wasted on the young, but that's what pops in my head, that the whole passage is, don't waste any time, life is short, it's precious, seize it. That's what I get.
What comes up for me is maybe we always have opportunities of choice between profit and loss, comfort and misery, but we don't know that and we don't remember it. And maybe we could.
Thanks, Lena.
Yeah, I'm still on No Time to Waste. And I think that's just where my mind is a lot right now, is the seriousness of having the Buddha Dharma here, you know, in this life. And so that No Time to Waste is big for me. And I don't know that I can add much more to it, but it's certainly universal that for us to be able to encounter it means we have a chance, you know, to truly wake up. And yeah, that's
It's interesting that the sirens are going off as we're having this dialogue.
Could be either birth or death.
That's right, it could be.
Well, this, for me, this keeps coming back to the chant of do not squander your life. And that is something that I start my day with and I end my day with. And I think for me, this passage really speaks to that in more, in terms that kind of explain that a little bit more.
Thanks so much.
One of the terms that we read that was liberally sprinkled through what we read at Master Zazi's was illusory. And so this is all reminding me of the illusory nature of what we consider reality, and thinking kind of like Santi was saying, there's no time to waste. And generally in the world, we're like, oh, well, whatever, you know, the new diet or the new plan, I'm going to start on Monday or do this. But now it's saying, you know, Monday really doesn't truly exist. You actually don't truly exist. So it's like, remember, do this now. Don't rely on the conventional wisdom of life as we're, you know, kind of given it. But now that we're awakening to the truth, seize it now. So yeah.
Thanks. Gotcha, Money. Lucita, do you want to make any comments? Okay. I don't want you to feel like you're being left out. You always have such wise things to say. Chima, is there anything you would like to add?
I'm just thinking about that what's happening at this exactly moment. There was an interaction here that caused disharmony, and for some reason it brought me a lot of anger. And I was, even before I read this passage, I was feeling it in my body, and I was, before coming into the group, the Sangha, I was thinking how to work and what is important. And for me, this experience right now, reading that and having this experience in my body, it's to, what I'm doing is like, yes, I can concentrate on the essence of life and what it, joy and good, whatever it's positive at this moment, but my body feels in a certain way. And it seems like I have to wait for that feeling to dissolve. But the fact that I'm reflecting on what is meaningful, it's very comforting for me, because it's helping not to fight back or do something that unskillful. It's helping me to be patient and wait for this transform, this feeling to transform. And I think this is one part of a meaningful essence of life. That's what is coming from me right now.
Thanks, Fátima.
I guess what I get out of this is the essence of life support being the nature of suffering, the realization of impermanence, and the recognition of non-self form the foundation. And it's really hard to gain that. It's not knowledge, really hard to just totally embrace that. But that's the life support that allows me to choose between comfort and misery, profit and loss. And if don't work hard at it, it will disintegrate. So that's all that comes to me.
Thanks, Brian.
I really don't have anything else other than trying to use the Dharma and being in the present moment and have my heart and mind aligned with kindness and ask for wisdom.
I really appreciate Brian's idea of life support. But, being the literal minded person I am, I'm still wondering about the senseless affairs of this life. Are all the affairs of this life senseless?
Well, I don't think, Ruth, all the affairs of life are senseless. I didn't read it that way. I think for me, there's a real gift of this life here and connecting with love and compassion. And I think separating out and weighing what's senseless versus what's worthy.
Let's take a moment in silence to prepare ourselves for dialogue. so that we've explored the words, mindfulness of the body, senses, the meaning, the essence, sort of digesting it all, things that we've shared, and also listening to what others have shared in our collective thought in that, and then speaking, whatever it is in whatever your immediate experience is of the Dhamma, the way things actually are, releasing the text, trusting that it will inform the present moment and speak to the present experience, sharing observations, pain, insights, and listening deeply. So wherever that lands with you, if you would like to share this last round in our dialogue. And also to consider, if you find yourself with questions, and I'm certainly not the expert to be, responding to questions you may have, but there are also questions that we can share with the venerables, and as far as what our experience was here in our dialogue, and then bringing it back to them, and then having them respond to it and share it with us next time we come together. Have a brief check-in to be able to do that. So, Sada, is there anything you would like? I'm sorry. So we say something? Oh, it sounded like somebody's going to say something.
I said thank you.
Oh, that's what it was. Sada, do you want to say something about this experience and with this reading to kind of close things out? Whatever your experience is, it doesn't have to be anything, whatever your experience was with these words.
Maybe my Cambodia say like when I sit every day, I look in the I investigate in the
Can people hear? Okay.
in the four elements.
So you said when you sit every day with the four elements?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Important mind is for me and help a lot. It's all.
Okay. Thank you. It's a lovely practice.
I think I already went over the essence that I got out of it. Is, and I do think this is pointing to the fact that life does have meaning, or why would we be seeing meaningful essence of this life? So there's something here, and my thinking says to separate that from the distracted, senseless affairs. What's important, and maybe it's not as important what I'm wearing or the last time I cut my hair as it is what I'm doing in my life and what my goals are. So I don't know, that's kind of what I got out of this. Like, don't waste time with frivolous things, but to focus on your goal. So that's all.
Thank you.
Still on no time to wait. But not so much on the phrase itself, but just how that has been showing up in my life, and essentially even like why that is sticking out so much, and what my practice has been around that. And I often say to myself, perfect practice, and not in the way that we often conceive that in the West, as like this thing that we must strive to, that is out of our reach, that is somewhere other than right here, but instead something that is right here, that is very attainable. And the idea of perfect practice is more so something that is a corrector, you know, something that holds me accountable, something that reminds me where I'm actually headed, and the importance of where I'm headed. And so that's been those two words. It's good, you know, because I've been doing these check-ins that it was in Buddha Master's Discourse, where he advises to check in 3 times a day and see how we're measuring up to our greatest wish, you know? And that's so good for me. And I find what's already starting to happen is it's becoming more like moment to moment. I'm asking myself that, you know, after a conversation or interaction, I'm going, oh, wait a minute. Okay, that you get a piece of corrected a little bit more to the left, 2 steps to the right, and then step back and then jump forward. That's how you should have handled that, you know? Yeah, so that's.
I go back to the meaningful essence of this life support and senseless affairs. And that really is about what we determine that is, whatever meaningful essence is, and whatever senseless affairs are. And my barometer is really what Deepa says, which is, are you done suffering? And so if it, for me, meaningful essence, if it creates meaning for me, but then creates some suffering along the way, or if senseless affairs, if I can check in, which I too have gathered the 3 times a day, actually it's 4 for me, but senseless affairs, is that what's going on that's creating the suffering, the upset, the distraction, and being able to note that and then course correct, whether it's at the end of the day or in the process of experiencing it, and just knowing this doesn't feel good. And so for me, it's a real internal check, physical check about what's showing up for me.
Thanks so much. Yes. Sister, is there anything you'd like to share?
Maybe at the end. Maybe at the end, just because I just jumped in and I don't know what is, I'm just reading through.
Yeah.
Okay, for now.
Well, this is the end.
I know, like when everyone.
Oh, when everybody's done. Okay, sorry you had to be distracted and to catch up, but I just want to make sure that you're, you know, part of the dialogue and whatever you have to share, and, you know, your wisdom. We have our own different perspectives and looking at, you know, our individual perspectives, and then also how, you know, what our collective perspective is on things too, and listening for each other in a different way than we normally do. Thank you, sister. Fátima?
What's coming to me is that sometimes it's not very, it's like it's not very important to explain anything. Sometimes what comes to me, it's what is important is to observe the experience, notice and how it comes through the body, to the consciousness, and let it go. And yeah, I think that's what I have been working a lot lately in my practice. Like sometimes it's not very important to understand or to explain. It's just important to be present and observe what's happening and this is what it is. I'm here right now. I'm witnessing this. This is happening internally and externally. And, you know, and if I don't understand something, it doesn't seem like it's so important. I don't know, that's are things that are coming to me in my practice lately.
Thanks, Fátima.
Don't have much to add. I thought there was a lot of wisdom shared already. What I took away from what I've heard is this whole thing about how easy it is to disintegrate the foundation if I try to grab it. And I do not take 3 or 4 times a day to reflect on, have I been distracted by senseless affairs or not? And I think I spend like maybe 10 seconds at night thinking about that explicitly. And maybe I need, one thing I want to consider is maybe I should put more periods of when I reflect on, have I been distracted by the senseless affairs? And therefore, having my foundation, which works hard to get, begin to disintegrate. So I'll think about that. There's a level of commitment. I'm not sure how to do it or whether I'm ready to do it.
Thanks, Brian.
Well, you can see I've been yoked to a good man. He'll help me try.
Thanks, Nancy.
So this has nothing to do with the text, but what I got out of this today is how grateful I am for Sangha, and I'm grateful to you, Elsie, for bringing back our Dharma Contemplations.
I can't take credit for that, Ruth, but I love being here too.
Appreciate you leading, Elsie.
Thanks. And I wanted to also invite, pretty much, I know that you on Zoom don't have this, I guess, outline for Dharma contemplation, but it's like a stab at how to conduct this Dharma contemplation. We have other documents, facilitation documents to support. And I invite all of you to take an opportunity to facilitate the Dharma contemplations on Thursday. So who would like to do that next Thursday? Okay, just let me know if you want to. I'll be happy to support you in the documentation. As you can see, it's a pretty simple process. What I like about it is there's really no teaching that has to happen in it. It's just a matter of, following the guidelines of the different phases of it, which when I took a look at the Dharma contemplation, and I've also been studying the Dharmacharya, we have so many different 4s of this and 7s of that and 8s of this and what have you. I noticed that the Dharma contemplation really is a great opportunity to bring the 4 mindfulnesses to life. So mindfulness of body, mindfulness of sensations, and I always forget one. And then also observing. Our third one is observing. No, the last one is on meditating on the Dharma. Third one is, I'm not testing you. I really have forgotten the third one. And they're always really simple, but as I reflect on it, it really brings that to life. And so I've been contemplating and studying and thinking about that a lot. It's like all the things that we're learning and how do we bring those to life. And I think Dharma contemplation is really a good one for the 4 mindfulnesses for sure. And so if we are mindful of our bodies, sensations, our thoughts, and the Dhamma, it really gives us access to all of the other aspects, all of the other learnings to take place, to be really present. And that's not easy for me. So I'm glad you're here to remind me, and we can help each other move forward in wherever our path is, and, honoring mine and each one of your unique aspects of your path, because they're also unique. We're not the same in that regard. So I'd like to close, unless there's any burning questions or anything else that you would like to say, so we can close this dialogue. Okay, I'd like to share a mantra with you that I like, and it goes like this. May all beings have happiness. May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from attachment and hatred. You can join in with me the next round. May all beings have happiness. May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from attachment and hatred. May all beings have happiness. May they be free from suffering. May they find the joy that suffering. May they be free from attachment and hatred. So the assignment for the week is, our lives are very precious. Notice how you're wasting your time. I think you've already been doing it. And I can share about more of that maybe later. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for showing up. Step one,
Thank you,
show up.
Elsie.
Show up.
Thanks, y'all. Nice seeing everybody.
Love you all.
You too.